I am going through a transition right now. So if you see a whole bunch of stuff in the background, then y'all know what's going down. Okay. Um, and so today I wanted to talk about dreaming of animals. The reason why I want to talk about dreaming of animals today is because I literally had a dream about an animal. Before I get into that topic, I'm gonna tell y'all why you should look at your dreams, because your dreams will tell you a lot about things that happen, that are going to happen in your life, or things that are coming towards your life. Okay. I will say I am a dreamer. I told y'all I've always been a dreamer. Um, I dreamed of where I'm at this particular point in my life. I dreamed of it when I was a little girl. So I know that I am called. They say many are called, few are chosen. I know that I'm chosen. I'm not just called, I'm chosen. Okay. Um, what was all that flickering? Girl, I don't know. Looks like a little flicker light in my house. Um, and so y'all, my doggone wig, it's like boosh everywhere. Um, I have been getting stuff done, and I've been picking out, and now I'm trying to get myself balanced. So I had to throw something on and keep going. But anywho, so yeah, I am a dreamer, natural born dreamer. Um, a lot of conflicts, good or bad, I will have dreams about it. God will show me things in dreams. Sometimes I'll see it in waking life, but for the most part, I'll see it in dreams. Um, People would try to pimp your gift too, but that's a whole nother story. But um, so yeah, I've had that since I was a kid. Um, Sometimes um, when I would see things and tell people what was to happen, some people would get afraid, especially if it's somebody, you dream of somebody passing away, and then they see it, and it happens just like it. They kind of get afraid of you a little bit. So um, yeah, but that's not it. I've had dreams about happy things, about people winning a lot of money. I've had you know dreams, just I don't know, they just, and you could tell the difference from a regular dream and from a dream, like a dream that is like a prophecy dream, because for one, it feels real. Other dreams feel like a dream, but the other dreams, you dream, but it feels real. um Another thing is, sometimes when it's like a trajectory and somebody's placing it on you, it can look, and it's in the future, it looks black and white. um Sometimes you can see it in color, and it can be in the future too, but you'll be able to tell it, because in the dream you'll be getting all this information. Like, you have all this information. Okay. That's how you know what it is. Like, and even then, I will, people, because I know people are going to say the enemy does the same thing. um there's a lot of people who do wickedness that have dreams. Yes, if it's a gift, it's a gift. God gives you a gift. It doesn't matter who you decide to serve. You're still gonna have that gift. There are a lot of people that have this gift. Okay. Um. So there you go. I had it in when I was younger. Uh. I can kind of feel what direction my life, or what God is trying to tell me to go into, based off of the dreams that I do have. So I do write into a journal about my dreams. Uh, Sometimes I skip, but for the most part, I've always did that, because you can tell if you look at it, and it could be different other things, things you ate. It could be different things. But anyhow, but one thing I noticed is that when I have dreams about animals, that's exactly what's going down. It's somebody trying to attack something. Uh, it could be a person. It could be an atmosphere. If you go into a certain area, like you go into a different state. I know for certain, when I go to like California, and I go for like acting and stuff like that, I will have a lot of feelings of uh lust. You can feel it in the air, like you can feel it in the air. You can feel a lot of that going on. You can feel a lot of other things that kick off, and so yeah, so it could be that too, but how can I even say this? I'm gonna tell y'all about the dream that got me to Fort Wayne. Okay, so it actually was two. It was actually three dreams. The first one was where I was with my ex. We were sleeping. We were watching these things. I don't know why we started watching these things about mermaids, and he started to tell me that mermaids are real and how he saw a mermaid. Where was he at? I think he was like, we had went to Wales or something, because um, he was Scottish. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, well, I was like, well, I believe you, because I know what I saw with my own eyes, traveling different places. And I was like, oh my goodness, I know what I saw. But anywho, so we had a discussion right then, and we were talking about it, and went on to sleep. When I went to sleep, I had this dream of this black cat sitting on top of our bed just watching. And this cat, look, it was a cute little cat. I was like, oh, this cat is cute, but I knew the cat was nothing to play with. It was like, the cat was so toned, but it was you could tell it was an old cat. Like, it was toned, the face looked young, but the cat was old. And it was just sitting there, and it was just hissing at me. And then it just left. And this is the whole dream. And so I got up. First thing I did was got on my knees and started praying. And my current ex, the guy that I was talking to then, he was like, what are you doing? I was like, no, like, I had this dream. He was like, crazy thing about it, he starts telling me how he had this dream of this cat. Before I can even tell him, I was telling him I had this crazy dream. He tells me that he has the dream of the cat, and how the cat was toned, and it was an old cat, but the cat was just looking at me and just like hissing, and he was like, it was weird. I was like, oh no, because I didn't even get to open my mouth and finish telling him, what happened. So I was like, I'm definitely need to finish praying. I didn't say nothing else after that to him, because in my head, I'm like, okay, this is spiritual, but this is something that's trying to appear in the physical. Like, this is something intentional. And if you actually, people always talking about going to church, but if you are in a faith-based church that talks about this stuff, you're going to know how to deal with things. And you listen. You're going to know how to deal with things. Even if you don't, I even say this, even if you are in a faith-based church that's really talking about the truth, if y'all never talked about that, and you are aligned with God, let me tell you, he is going to reveal to you what to pray about. And when I started praying, I was like, God, whatever this is, don't let me back down from it. Let me go through with it. I do not want to be a coward. I am not one of those people that would shy away from things. I try to find out what's going on and how to attack it. I don't try to run away. The only time I try to run away is to try to avoid, if I think that's the best solution to overcome the situation. Sometimes you do need to back up and move around, so, but that's not my go-to mechanism. A lot of people think that because I will retreat a little bit, but it doesn't mean I'm backing around. And so, boom, I had that. And I just kept praying. From that time on, I was literally having these dreams where there were people in the dreams. I would have these people gather around me and telling me to leave. And I was like, no. And they were fighting. And I was fighting. And I'm like, every single night, this is what we got to do. Then that's what we got to do. Because I'm not going to run. Like, y'all, I've been oppressed by a lot of people in my physical life being bullies towards me. And the only way that they stop is when they see that I'm not going to back down. And not only that, they see that I really am stronger than what they think that I really am. Like, it takes a lot of strength to hold yourself back and not taking somebody out. You know, and that's the problem. People think that you weak, but it's neither here. That's what I'm telling y'all. So having these dreams and going through stuff in my physical life and dealing with fights and bullies, I knew that I can fight these people, and greater who is he that is in me than he is of the world. If that is true, then I can be anything that's coming against me as long as he is with me, and as long as he is inside of me and I'm permeating him. That's it. That's it. You know, and since he created me, he's always inside of me. Boom. Okay. And so I kept having these dreams that I was just battling, and he was just like, he would tell me his dreams. Then another time I had a dream, it was dealing with the snake. I think I told y'all about that. The snake was like, it looked like some kind of cobra or a rattlesnake, like by the tail, but the tail was big. It was like kind of like a rattlesnake, but it didn't have any shakes in it, and it was big, and it was black, and it was like black and gray, but it was super dark. When I say super dark, it was so dark that it was dark, okay? And so I remember that in that dream, it was a lady, it was a guy, and the guy in the face looked like my godfather at that time, but it couldn't hold the image, meaning it couldn't hold the shape and the physical characteristics of my godfather. And so in my head, I'm sitting here like, who is this? And the shape that it started morphing back into was the pastor that was over me at the time. And I'm like, what? But I had already had some instance, I won't say altercation. I had some contact with him that it wasn't adding up. But I might have to put that in another story, because that's not the point. But I go there, and I ended up, you know, this person is trying to lure me in, and it's dark all around, all outside. And so I go and I follow them, and I go into this cave, and they like, you need to be safe because it's dark all outside. It's like gray dark. Like, it's like the darkest dark you could ever see. It was like the darkest gray outside, like hardly no light. And it was like, what the heck? Everybody was gone. It was weird. It was like in these like mountains. It was like hills and mountains, and all the people outside, they were like gone. It was ghosts gone. Like, and so I was like, okay, so I get in there because I trust this person. Once I get into the cave, in the front of the cave, I see my godmother, right? And I'm like, okay, well, cool. Her head looked, and my godmother, she has dreads. The wiggle things, they look like Medusa. That's what it looked like. It looked like straight up Medusa. It had like little snake. Her dreads turned into like these little snakes, these little serpent snakes. If y'all seen Xena, Warrior Princess, all those, and they see Medusa, and they have the little snakes and so I ended up going into the cave, and I remember she was smiling at me, but her top half of her body was human, and the back half was the snake. Okay, snake was so big, and I was so tiny, but I was beaming. I can't, like how I was looking, I was beaming like myself, but I was bigger than what I was myself. I was beaming bright, y'all. When I say I was beaming bright, I was beaming bright. And when I say beaming bright, you can see the color coming off of me. And it wasn't a white glow, it was a golden glow. Like, that's a whole nother topic, but you get it, you get it. You don't, I might have to make a video about that. And so I'm like, what the heck is this? This is what I said. I didn't say what the heck. I said, what the HE double hockey sticks is this? Okay. Because yeah, y'all know, I used to cuss like a sailor. So I'm like, what is this? Like, and her tail was really big. It was humongous. It was just wrapping around me. I said, you know what? This is kind of pissing me off. And I was just chilling. Like, I was relaxing the whole time. I'm like, I wasn't scared. After that, I was just like, what the hell is this? Like, what is this? And I took out my sword. My sword looked like a Ninja Turtle sword. So I'm like, I don't know why I wasn't even scared. Because now, if you look at it in real life, and you think about a little sword getting a big, huge snake where the width is like this big. The width was like this big, and it was trying to wrap around me and trying to squeeze me, but it was not hurting me. I took the sword and I was like, in the scales. When I hit the scales, it wouldn't. It was just getting like a metal kind of. It was like, and it was like lighting up, but it really didn't affect. It wasn't affecting the snake to where I pierced it where it slid, and the snake kept trying to twist me. And as it got tighter, I didn't feel no compression. Like I felt no compression at all. But you could see the snake wrapping around me, and they're like laughing. I remember, I said, and it sounded just like off of Friday. Y'all know how Big Worm was like, if you don't give me my bud, I'm gonna kill you and him. That's how I said it. I was like, listen, I'm gonna kill you and him. And that's how the dream, boom, I got out of the dream. And I was like, ooh, and I got back down. I'm like, what the heck is that? Started praying again, okay? So that was the second thing. I dreamed about a snake, and the snake was like a boa constrictor mixed with like a rattlesnake mixed with a cobra. This was some kind of hybrid, dark, big, stupid snake. And the snake could have took me out. It was so weird because when her face started changing, the snake could have took me out because the mouth was way bigger than me. The mouth, everything was bigger than me. But it could not take me out. Even when it was squeezing me, it could not take me out. Boom. All right. So I get back on my knees. I start praying. After that, I started seeing things in the spiritual realm. Like, I was just like, whoa, everything just started piercing. You know, I could see like, when I say I could see people's like, their intentions. You know, you start seeing people how they moving funny towards you. You thinking everybody like you. No, it was going haywire from there. People was betraying me. I had people who were friends that I've known since grade school turning out on me, trying to sleep with my man. It was crazy. I had people trying to sabotage me. When I was in pageantry, they was doing crazy stuff, messing up my dress, going on trips, telling my ex all kind of crazy stuff about me. Just it was all haywire. I remember when I went and I was supposed to be speaking at a function, and how the function ended up getting canceled, or I couldn't go to the functions. It was so much weird stuff that was happening, so I was constantly praying. Another thing was I was falling asleep every time I would read my Bible, because I'm like, when stuff like that goes on, the main thing you do is read your Bible. Y'all, I could not read my Bible. I kept falling asleep, so I knew it was some kind of attack. I mean, soon as I open it, one word, I would fall asleep. But if I turn on some music or something, I'm wide awake. It was that deep, to the point where people were realizing it, like, what the heck is going on? And one lady was like, I'll pray for you. One person was like, I can't keep praying for you because whatever's coming against you, they was scared about praying for me, because they was getting some of them hits. And so, yeah, I just kept praying. But things did not stop. Things did not stop appearing. Things did not stop changing, because I didn't really know how to fully battle it. I really didn't at that time. I'm being honest, y'all. I did not know how to battle it. And so fast forward, I want to say it was like a month later, because I was telling my ex, because he was like, man, I'm having these dreams. So fast forward for like a month later, I didn't even tell y'all about the same dream that I had. The same day, I forgot about this, y'all. Same day that I had that dream about that big, huge snake was the same day that my ex had a dream about a whole bunch of snakes. They was all in the garden. They was all up in his house and all up in the garden. He said they was going around, and he said he did not know what was going on, what was going on, and what was happening. He said, but he took his knife out, and he said his sword was kind of long. And I'm like, sitting in my head like, how his sword long and my sword not? Like, that's what I was thinking. But I was like, well, maybe it's some wisdom, because he had great wisdom, y'all. Like, man, that dude could build. He was really, really good. Other than the drugs, But yeah, he was really good. He was a real good provider and all that. Like, I told y'all that. Like, but anyhow, and he could see certain stuff too. He had told me how some of those people, who were around me, even at church, who really hated me, and they really did. But anyhow, so he was like, he had his sword, And when he was about to start cutting the snakes. Well, what happened was one snake ate one, the other snake ate another, the other snake ate another. He's just telling me this story. And he's like, this was so crazy. He was like, I never had a dream like this. And he kept saying all the snakes ate each other. He said it came to a red snake and a yellow snake. And I forgot which one he said that one ate the other, and he ended up cutting the head off of the other one. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, the only thing that I can remember, I asked him, I said, what colors was the snake? Was any of those snakes black? He said no. Was any of those snakes gray? He said no. He named every single color: pink, blue, white, purple, yellow, every color except gray and black that was in that field. So I don't know how, well, I do know because that was God delivering that message to me. The attack, he's getting attacked based off of me. You see what I'm saying? Because we had it the same, we had two separate dreams about snakes on the same day. You know, he had already had the dream about the cat. You know, and I didn't even have to tell him that. So I knew, like, that was another thing. I was like, I knew we was in sync and we both saw the same thing. Or it couldn't have been a dream. That could have been something too. But I knew it was a dream. But how he described everything, it was in sync. So God was giving that confirmation. But I was very ignorant and I didn't understand and didn't know. And so that was the second time, okay? That was the second time. First was the cat, second was the snake, third time. Okay. So a month later, I'm still praying. It's like almost every night. I started even separating, staying in the same bed with him for a minute because it was like weird stuff happening. And so, I go to bed, I say my prayers. I kept my Bible underneath my bed because the attacks were so strong. When I say the attacks were so strong, to the point where I would get up and it was like I was good at getting down on my knees and praying. And I started fasting. I had fast for 21 days. That's when I ended up getting an answer too, from certain things. And then, but I would get down on my knees and start praying, and I would lose my thought about what scriptures to read. So during the day, what I would do is take these little tabs and place down the stickers of, the attacks, like what prayers to say during attack mode. What, first start off with the 23rd Psalm, 91, and all this, trying to get myself prepared. And you always constantly, it's just like going to school. You're constantly filling yourself up so that it comes into automation mode when you are attacked. It's just boom, okay? Because you're not gonna know how to react if you think that you're gonna do it once or twice during the day, or once a month or twice a month. You cannot stay on solid ground or on higher ground without having that. You have to be constantly fueled, because when you're in combat, that's just like you being if you were a soldier. When you're in combat, you don't go based off of your thinking. You go based off of instinct. Okay, you go based off of instinct. Yeah, you can think quick on your toes, but you want to have something that's already programmed. That's just like being a flight attendant. People talk about that, but you have to learn how to. A lot of the things that you do have to be ingrained in you. It has to be automated inside of you, so that when it comes to you, if you get shocked, if you get in fear, if you get in panic, you've already rehearsed it so much to the point that your body is already giving you that reaction to respond in the right tone to get it done. Okay, that's how, and I can say this from personal experience about that, being a flight attendant, that they used to, when we have our drills, we would get trained on that days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months in certain trainings, how to do certain things. I remember when I went to mainline and how I had to, well, they don't do it anymore, but how I had to climb. People staying fit, you meant not just being little. A lot of people used to think, oh yeah, if I'm little, I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna stay a flight attendant. Nah, baby, you gotta put in that work. You gotta know how to climb, how to do certain situations. Because think about it, if an aircraft come out, we in the air, and it's an accident or something, and you in the mountains, you might need to climb to save your life. You might need to climb to save somebody else's life. You got to have that stamina. You got to have that energy. You got to be able to get the people out. So how to say those commands when those people start panicking. How do you react when somebody else is not cooperating and going with the plan? Because people, normal habit, people will panic and they freeze. You got to be able to move those people out the way. You got to be able to get them out, move, get them out, get them out. You know what I'm saying? You have to do that. And that's the same thing that you have to do when you're dealing with spiritual warfare like that. When especially if somebody dealing with some kind of animals, anything like that, animals, wind, that's a good sign of witchcraft. That's a good sign. Somebody using some devices, or God sending you warning signs that they're using devices, okay? And so yeah, I was already ready to put my Bible underneath my pillow, because I'm like, listen, it is what it is. I had already asked God, like, God, if you want me to leave this place, let me know if you want me to leave this place, and I'll leave. But if you want me to stay and fight, then let me know. This was the discussion that I had. I didn't, people think that, oh, I just left because, he was abusive, he became abusive. No, because if you're dealing with somebody, sometimes people can be, if you live in real life, people can be abusive and not intentionally do it. People can be abusive and they can not intentionally do it. Now, am I telling somebody to stay in an abusive relationship? No, not in any means necessary. But I know for me, the journey that I took and the journey that and who I believe in, I know that God has what's best for me. So if I can't see it, God will deliver me messages and warning signs, which he did, to allow me to get up out of there. So I wanted to be submissive to that plan that God has for me. And I said, God, if this is not the plan that you had for me, let me know, God. Show me. If this is not the plan for me, show me, God. I remember this day because this was the 21st day going into the 22nd day of me fasting too. It was me fasting and praying every single day. I would get attacked day and night. And I couldn't go to my pastor. I couldn't go, I had went to a different, entirely different church than what I grew up in. And this pastor was not, when you grow up with somebody, they see you when you're younger, they know your breed. They see your family. They see, some of the things that you face based off of your family, some of the things, that you face because of yourself, because they know your character. They've seen you work, so having that intimate relationship with my pastor, I've always been a person that was very dynamic, but I wasn't, if you was to say like a person that was very outgoing, outspoken in church, I was not that person. Even in school, people would know who I am because of the work that I've done. I'm still happy, I'm still bubbly, but me going and talking to 12,000 people, that's not even my forte. I don't care, y'all. Like, I love people, a lot of people like me, I have a lot of associates, but me doing that, that's just not me. And so, yeah, having that connection with somebody who you are with, spiritually, and they're helping you with your spiritual guidance, getting closer to God, it can help you. It helps you a lot. And I'm grateful to have that experience, but I'm also grateful that I didn't, because it got me to develop the things that were put inside of me by all these people who were feeding into me, I can't say that I got all of this by myself. I know it was nobody but God, and God sending people to pour inside of me, okay? This is a pouring act. When you see me, it's a reflection of that. So, boom, okay? So I had to start praying for myself. I really had to get in. I was still doing missionary work. I was still volunteering and serving at the shelters, and I also was serving. I was serving at the shelters, and I was also serving at the hospitals. At that time, I was the youngest auxiliary member at Methodist hospitals, and the youngest volunteer too. And so my job then, they wanted me to recruit other people other young people. And that's what I was doing, y'all. People was just like, oh, Bill, you know. I'm good at doing that and the mentorship and all that. So anywho, so I was doing that. I was praying, and I remembered that 21st day going into the 22nd day, I said that prayer. And I remember that night like it was yesterday, y'all. I went to sleep, and I knew I was going to see these same faces. It was women that was around me. And they were telling me to leave him, and they was literally trying to fight me. Like, get out of here. Like, y'all not even the same, blah, blah, blah. And they're throwing these little, like balls of portions. It was weird. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, we're going to fight. We're going to fight to the death. Like, I'm one of those people. Like, I'm not like, I'm stubborn, but if I know it's a good cause and I know it's worth it, baby, I'm going to fight. I am a fighter. Don't get it twisted. I will try to avoid the fight. But if it comes to that, understand, I am the fighter. And not only am I the fighter, I am the fighter that's like Craig and Debo. Like David and Goliath, okay? People have seen this even in my grade school life, high school, college, they've seen it. It always happened that way, okay? Because, yeah, anywho. But I'm not a person that's going to be trying to start the fight either. Let's just be clear. I'm not. So anywho, I had this dream and we're just battling. And I was so tired, but I was like, I had already read all my scriptures, got myself ready. And I remember, y'all, that angel Michael, it was these other, like, angels, they started fighting. They had got this other, and they was all trying to attack me, and they were stronger than me. And I thought that night, I was going to die. But I was like, if I die for God, then that's what I'm going to do. I thought I was literally going to die, and I was going to not wake up out of this dream. Because the fight that I had, it was so crazy. And they had got so many other people. It started off about 8 women and 2 men. Y'all, that night, that whole room, when I went to sleep, that whole room was filled with people literally attacking me. Like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like, forget it. Forget it, y'all. Forget it, okay? If you gonna take me out, I'm going out with a bang. My grandmother always told me, like, if you ever get jumped and you can't even get yourself out of it, you better take 1 or 2 people out. So then that person will know, yeah, y'all jump me. Yeah, y'all jump me. But I promise you, you ain't going to try that again. You're going to make sure you in the back. Because if y'all come again, I'm going to wear you out. And go and listen. After that, listen. If you do ever get jumped, listen, I done had that happen. I will come back. I will just sit there and wait, analyze. I'm coming back. 1 for 1. Because a lot of people who, when they want to fight you and they try to gang up on you, you already know that you are stronger than that person. You are stronger, way stronger, and smarter, and clever than those people. That's why they got to gang up on you. Okay? So I'm like, okay, all right. In that dream, I was just boom, boom. And how I'm fighting, we're not fighting how they're throwing things at me. We're not fighting like this. We're fighting words. We're fighting words. I'm literally speaking out scriptures that I couldn't even remember. Like, God showed me later some of the scriptures. Psalms 123. I was like that. Like that. Y'all, all of a sudden, okay, 2 angels came. 2 angels came. It was the angel Michael. I saw the angel Michael, y'all. It tripped me out. Angel Michael came down. Boom. Okay. This was in my dream, but it felt so real. And it was this other messenger angel. And the messenger angel, like, I don't know how I was seeing all these things, but I slipped out of my body. I literally saw myself laying there. And I was fighting these people like this. That angel took me by the hand and said, boom. And it was like, when I was leaving, they was like, she got her power. That's all they kept saying. She got her power. Like, and they did not know where I went. I went like above, like through the sky. It was crazy. It was like through the sky. And I went into this place. And in this place, I ended up seeing, it was like this shelter. It was like a lady, and it was a lady that was driving me around. As I'm seeing this, driving me around in this car. Oh, no. I take that back. When I went up, that was, I got to rewind. That wasn't the third one about the dreams. I might have to tell that one later. Before I ended up getting pierced up, I'm so sorry, y'all. This was like the 20th day. It was the 20th day going to the 21st day. I ended up having this dream about this church. And this church, it was a Baptist church. It was a Baptist church, y'all. And the church, it was like an old build. It was young. It was like, when I say young, I want to say between 30 and 60 years old. So some people will say that's old, but it's not 100 years old. I'm used to, seeing that. So it's a fairly mid-age building. But what I saw was that the paint was peeling. They was all singing and all this other stuff. And the paint was peeling all off the walls. They was hanging off the walls. And it was like an old wooden thing in the back. And I'm like, oh, this is not Gary. Like, this is not Gary, because Gary churches, people talk mess about how Gary looked raggedy, but most of these churches don't look like that. Even on the inside, they don't look like that. They look, put together. That's one thing. You're going to see the churches, the liquor stores, and the gas stations going to be together. And so, anywho, I remember seeing that. It was people just screaming. They was having a good time. They was jumping around. I remember I was sitting in a choir, and I was behind in a wooden thing, and it was this lady. She had short hair, and they was up there talking. She was singing, but she was like, I don't know. It was like she was singing a different song. And I ended up meeting these people in real life. But this was in a dream. In the dream. So in the dream, it was this guy. He was preaching. And he had this golden tooth. Y'all know how people who have a calcium deficiencies, they'll have sometimes they'll have a discoloration in their teeth. They have one golden tooth. I saw this man. I'm like, ugh, like what? And he was preaching. I remember out of him came these big, huge frogs. When I say big, huge frogs, baby, I'm talking about the frogs was so big. The frogs was so big. They was bigger than humans. They were bigger than humans. And I'm sitting here like, oh, like what the heck? And it came out of his mouth to the point where he had to hunch over and it started jumping. The rest of them started jumping. So it's like about 3 or 4 of them big ones. These was like, had to be at least 300 to 400 pound frogs. Okay. And they was green, like with spots, green, lively green with spots. And I'm like, what the heck? And, God had showed me, and it was like when I woke up, before I woke up, it said false prophet. So I'm like, what the heck? What does it mean about dreams? So I'm looking in the Bible, like, what does it say about frogs? And the only thing I could think of is about Pharaoh, about the plagues that happened to him during that time, y'all. And so I'm like, cool, okay. So maybe that was a plague on him, but I remembered that the last 2 words before I got out of that dream said false prophet. And I was like, why am I seeing this? Like, is this a real dream? Is this real people? Like, I've never seen this person in my life. And I prayed about it. I was like, God, whatever this is, let me go through it. Let me be able to stand and go through it and give testimony to it and not be afraid and wander away from it. And so that's what I did. Okay, I prayed about it and I kept going. The 21st day was another dream. So, boom, I'll tell y'all about that. I done told y'all part about that. So I might have to make another video about that. So, anywho, I get up. I pray about it. I keep going. Fast forward a couple of years later, I end up coming to Fort Wayne, y'all. Oh, I'm tired. I end up coming to Fort Wayne. And y'all know how I came, how I got here or whatever. And it was this prayer group, and they started talking about things, and I started seeing things. But I remember in the dream, because I'm telling y'all about animals, every time I had a dream about an animal, it dealt with someone spiritually trying to attack me and trying to get spiritual connection to me. spiritual connection to me. Now, did I know those people before? No, but I knew some kind of correlation was happening. It was some kind of shift that was trying to allow me or make me, uh, make me go into that direction. Because I ended up seeing it later on, and things started manifesting. Like, I want to say within a year and a half, I started seeing that thing happen. Um, and so I want to say this about when you see animals, do not take it lightly. Do not be afraid to look up what that means. Because I remember my ex used to tell me, like, don't look it up because they're going to know that you're looking up things. And I'm like, who is they? And at this point, you don't care. You want it to stop. You don't want to run away from certain problems and things that really happen to you. Yeah, you don't want to run away from problems. You want to tackle it. You want to tackle it. And I would say this: the more you don't know about how to deal with this, the more your life will be in jeopardy. The more evil will have its way in your life. When I started fighting and I started learning more about things, my life got a lot better. It got a lot better. And so, first of all, I'm going to tell you, if you're dreaming about snakes, okay, a lot of that is it's snakes, rats, those are clear signs. Dogs, someone that's close to you that's trying to use witchcraft on you. And this is also a season because it's getting, close to Passover. It's getting close to Passover. So those spirits still roam our sector of life. It really does. And so, the thing that you have to understand is to find out what that means. If you're dealing with a dog or a dog chasing you or biting you, there's someone that's trying to pursue you and try to attack you and take things from you. If it's dealing with a snake, and if the snake is biting you, that means something different than if a snake is trying to squeeze the life out of you. If the snake is trying to squeeze the life out of you, that is a clear indication that you have a message to give to the world. You are a messenger, okay? You are a person that is going to be a deliverer. And I don't want to say like they are gods or anything like that. Like, what I'm saying is that spirit does not attack you unless you have a message that's going to help the multitudes of people. Think about Esther and her going into, she wasn't even going, it was nothing that she was thinking about, but she came into a life, she was born into a life of poverty. She was raised by her uncle, Mordecai, and, they lived in society in a impoverished land, and she got her break by being beautiful amongst beautiful people, meaning that she was beautiful. She wasn't just beautiful on the outside, she was beautiful on the inside. She was beautiful on the inside. A lot of people don't really want to understand that. They don't really think that makes a difference until they get older and they start seeing. Okay? And so that gave her favor with the king because she was very beautiful. And not only that, it was a lot of preparatory things, but one of her tasks was helping the Jews live, because they was going to put a decree where they were going to kill all the Jews. And even not, her thing was secretive, it was covered, because the king didn't even know that she was a Jew. He didn't know. And if that was executed, she would have died, or for sure her family would have died. You know, but she had to take that courage. So that those are clear examples. That's a clear example of when I say you are here to be a deliverer. Because if Esther didn't open her mouth, she wouldn't have been able to save. Uh, God wouldn't have been able to use her to uh, save the people. Um, what's another one? David. People talk about Esther, but David had a calling that was likewise to him too. Um, Moses. Moses. Um, you can see a lot of those happening in our lives today, or things that happened previously. You think about some of uh, the people like Medgar Evans. People talk about Martin Luther King, but Medgar Evans, uh, Nelson Mandela. Um, what's that girl? It's a Muslim girl. She had to go and talk about reading and how it was so fundamental, and she broke the barriers over there to have women to have more roles as uh, in the workforce. Um, I forgot. I forgot her name, y'all. Please excuse me, but she was really really good. And they tried to take her life. They tried to throw acid on her. They tried to do a lot to her. Um, but this is what I'm telling you about when you're dealing with things like snakes. Someone is trying to squeeze the life of you, trying to make you spiritually closed up. This, if you see how my life was, you can see how closed up I was in certain aspects of my life. I did not want to go and share, and God was telling me sometimes to move away, even when I was trying to share in certain people, and that showed me who was doing what too. But you will start to see that. Um, if you're dealing with dogs, people, y'all, that's the weirdest thing. People would try to lock you up dealing with dogs. People would try to, um, they do a lot with dogs. So, um, yeah, you have to be careful with that. With dogs, they'll try to, um, capture you. They'll try to make you be confined. Well, most of it deals with being confinement and hiding your gift, um, ravishing your gift, delinquishing it. Especially if one bites you. If you get bit by a dog, you get wounded. Some of their jaw power is very strong depending on the dog. Um, if you're dealing with rats, most of the time it's dealing with someone trying to take your destiny. Um, they're trying to bring filth into your life. They're trying to mess with your relationship, depending on what location the rat is in. If the location, if the rat is in the living room, it's gonna be different from versus the person if the rat is in the uh, in the bedroom. You know, I'm telling y'all about this. This is why I made this video. Is because I had a dream. Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday, and I had a dream about this dog rat, and it was so weird. But I wasn't afraid of it, but it grossed me out, Um, and the dog rat was really like ravishing, eating everything up in my house. And I was like, what the heck? It was eating cheeses, Cheetos, walls, clothes. And I remember I had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend was like, I can't get this dog to stop eating. I can't get this dog rat to stop eating. It was like, oh, it's a rat. And the rat started looking more like a kangaroo, but it was a rat. So I took it, and I was like squeezing. I started squeezing, telling him to stop. And I kept squeezing it to the point it just got smaller and smaller and smaller, and I woke up. Y'all, I was squeezing the life out of it. I don't know why. I mean, I probably wouldn't have did that in real life, but I did it in that dream. And I was just like, what kind of dream is this? And it was cheese and everything. And I was just like, ugh, like taking my bare hands just, and the rat wasn't a little rat, and it wasn't like a little dog. It was like this big, but I just kept squeezing it like that. And I woke up and I was just like, okay, Belle, you know what rats mean in a dream, even off the colors. I've had dreams where I've had rats, y'all, like where rats were all over me trying to eat me up and devour me. And that was the hardest time in my life, y'all, because I didn't understand what spiritual warfare was, and everything that trickled after that when I didn't pray it off. Um, it came to pass. It was a lot of disaster, and so I had to cancel the spirit of disaster out of my life. Um, Cancel out demonic things. Get things out of. Look at your inventory and look if you keep a journal. I do keep a journal. I kept a journal of how I was feeling during the whole week. Earlier during the week, I felt super high. It felt like my energy was all coming back. Everything was going great. Okay, I got back around one person. We didn't even stay around too long. It was about like 30 minutes. We ate, left. I remember I had got something from somebody too. I put all this in, documentation, in the journal. Uh, After that, I started seeing my energy feel low. I started seeing just a lot of things uh, going south, and it was going south in a slow but like a weird way. I was having desires to eat certain things and certain foods that I hadn't had a desire to eat in years. A lot of fried foods I hadn't eaten in years, y'all. Um, just a lot of that, and I was like, maybe because I was sick, I had to take this medication. Maybe I was putting all that into consideration, but deep down, I was feeling like, okay, I need to get rid of. Let me get rid of this out of my car. Let me get this out. Let me, see if this is making, um, excuse me, if this will make a difference. Um, and it did, and it did. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to share with y'all. Like, if and this is not for every situation and everything, but God would allow you. God will allow you. He'll bring it to your head, like to your attention. When I say bring it to your head, He'll bring it to your attention and say, "Okay, look at this. This didn't happen until this person gave you this. This didn't happen until this, And see if you reverse some of the things that happen to you or some of those interactions, and see uh, if that changes anything. Because I will tell you, when you're dealing with stuff like this, it's usually somebody that you know. It could be generational, but it's definitely somebody that you know. It's most definitely somebody that you know. Okay. Um, During this time, also keep uh, your goals and your dreams. Come on, girlie. Y'all see my doggy. Keep your goals and your dreams to yourself. Not to say that it's not to say that it is you can't share with other people, but until you get to the bottom or the root of it, which you probably won't, sometimes you don't. God don't even allow you to see that. He wants you to obey. He wants you to do something and follow it. You don't need to know everything. You know, you might just need to get rid of and do what he tells you, and he take care of everything else, so you don't know until years later. Um, but obey him. It's okay with obeying people. Obeying. I don't understand why people don't understand the power of obeying, because you're gonna obey somebody. You got to. If you don't obey nobody, then you obeying by default. So yeah, listen to what he's telling you. It might sound a little weird. It might sound crazy. I will also tell you, um, it might not always be best to tell everybody what you know, because some of these people know what they doing. Some of these people can see your gifting. They know what you're doing, and uh, they want to have a place in that. They want to make it. They want to take you down by any means necessary. So if they know that you are aware of it, the next thing that they'll try to do is try to make you feel like you are a loop ball. So if somebody's doing this because they're usually hiding their hand when they're using these kind of sources and doing this stuff, you got to make sure you do the same thing. God says to be clever, clever as a snake, but harmless as a dove. That's what you want to do. That's exactly what you want to do. Okay. Uh, Hopefully this has helped someone get themselves back together. To take courage and take control over their lives. Um, and to make something good of themselves. I am going to get off of here because I do have some work to get done, as y'all can see. All the stuff I need to get rid of and to do. So I'm going to get off here. Hopefully something I've said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem. If you are going through these attacks, pray, fast. You might have to isolate yourself. If God tell you to get away from certain people, get away from them. If you need prayer, ask for prayer. I'm telling y'all, don't even tell people sometimes, because I don't even tell people what I need you to pray for. I'm very selective as who to pray for me anyway. But either way, God will allow people who need to pray for you to do it. So, yeah. I'm going to get off here. Hopefully something I said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem. Bye.